The market is definitely changing, and houses are not flying off the market in a week. Hi, everyone. It's Real Talk Tuesdays, and the market is definitely changing, and houses are not flying off the market in a week, which gives the buyers a little bit more power for different contingencies. I would say in the past month and a half, we have had 4 home inspections on different properties and people coming back with lots of issues. And so, sellers are not used to that, and it makes them nervous, obviously. And the buyers are coming with a huge laundry list of things. Our last couple, so things that maybe you as a seller don't think about is your chimneys. Chimneys, for some reason, always seem to need some work. Unless you're the kind of person who has had it inspected every year and have everything done properly, usually you can find something wrong with a chimney. Sewer lines has been a big one recently. Corrosion in the sewer line, either in your house, or we actually had someone who had a sewer specialist come in and scope to make sure that the line from the house to the street, you think about it, if that line was put in the 1950s, it's like a 75-year-old pipe. Things happen. So that's been another big one. Chimneys, sewer lines. We always run into the basements that have been finished or semi-finished in houses that were built in like 1950 to 1970, the asbestos tiles. So usually those are 9-inch squares. And officially, if they're not cracking or anything, there's no issue, because asbestos is something that comes in the air. So typically, if they're in good shape, it's not an issue. But if they're not, and not all of them are asbestos. However, our limit on asbestos is very, very small. I think it's like 0.02. So the asbestos could be in the actual tile or the glue, you've got that double duty there. And as a seller, it's not like you who've lived in the house and raised your kids would ever go out and test the tiles, sort of while you're selling, but it might come up. That one is an easy one to fix as far as environmental issues, and because it's not that expensive anymore. So to take care of a floor is probably a couple of $1,000s. So, which in the scheme of things is not bad. Another one that has just come up is vermiculite. So vermiculite is a type of insulation that was put in mostly like in the 60s, maybe, early 70s. But it was mined from a place in Minnesota that has asbestos. And that is a major issue. So if they find it, and it's not like that easy to test for. It's just sort of like, is this vermiculite or not? But I actually had another house with a home inspection in the past month with vermiculite. So it's going to cost the owners $10,000 to remove the vermiculite in their attic. So as you can see, $2,000 for asbestos tile versus $10,000 for vermiculite. These things start adding up. And this is like before the typical, is the HVAC condenser old? How old is your roof? All that good stuff. We try and mitigate all of these sort of home inspection issues by a really thorough seller's disclosure, where, if my seller says, hey, just FYI, our roof is 24 years old, the buyer can't come back and say, hey, by the way, your roof is 24 years old, we want you to put in a new roof, because they have signed off on the seller's disclosure. But things are changing. Home inspections are happening, and issues are having to be addressed. What we find mostly is that people just want to credit and do the work themselves, but the list goes on, right? Then there's all the little things, HVAC, plumbing, electric. But those are the sort of big ticket items that we've seen, and probably will see going forward too, as sort of the market shifts a little bit and becomes more I'm not going to say buyer focused, but definitely a little bit more buyer friendly. So just my 2 cents.